Check the mic and make sure it sound right.
Hi, I'm DKWILL, and this is DK. We'll talk about it.
Well, hello everybody. I thought I'd talk a little bit about this article, plus touch on another one that I have, but really talk about this one here. It was done today on the 20th of August. XRP Price Forecast, large holders offload 460 million tokens as Powell's speech approaches. Now, this is where, in the mind of DK Will, it's narrative. It's narrative telling you what to care about, what makes a difference, and what you should be concerned about that's going to make a difference. And right now, the focus is Powell's speech is going to make a difference. And that's just a way that the cryptocurrency market is being pulled in and sucked into the financial system's archaic mentality and the mechanisms in place that actually manipulate price and structure and everything else. They're mainstreaming the crypto market, and now Chair Jerome Powell's speech at Jackson Hole, Wyoming, matters in the crypto market. Keep in mind, before crypto was its own thing. It was for weirdos and thieves and everything else. It didn't have anything to do with the regular monetary system. But now they're tying it into the Federal Reserve's chair making a speech. That's how far crypto has come. So let's look at this article a little bit. It says Ripple's XRP plunged 6% on Tuesday as large-scale investors downsized their holdings by 460 million XRP. We're going to touch on that because I noticed something in this article that is a bit contradictory to that. It says the elevated profit levels of its circulating supply could spark a major profit taking if the market sees a bearish shocker. So in other words, the majority of people who have wallets holding XRP are in a position of profit. Most people have made money, and many of those people who have made money are not selling. Let's keep going. It says XRP saw a further decline on Tuesday, blah, blah, blah. Its prices registered a 13% loss. But here's what it says. As investors move to the sidelines ahead of Powell's speech at Jackson Hole on Friday. Let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
Did you move to the sidelines ahead of the Powell speech at Jackson Hole on Friday, or were you just told that you did that? Were you just told that that's what everybody else is doing? Did you do it? Did you even care? Personally, I didn't. I can only speak for me, but I asked you, what did you do? It says the price decline has seen large-scale investors with a balance of 10 to 100 million XRP tokens trim their holdings by about 460 million XRP over the past week. What does that really mean to me? What that means to me is those big balance holders are able to manipulate the price. So what they did was they sold some of their holdings to push the price down. Because they have so many, they can impact the price by making those kind of moves. And you'll see why I say that later. It says, on the contrary, wallets holding 1 to 10 million XRP, the smaller whales, added 130 million tokens to their collective balance. So that's a net balance of 330, right? That's a net sell-off of 330 million, apparently, because that's talking about those size wallets only. And so that's my point. A whale could say, I'm going to sell 10 million XRP out of my big wallet, and I'm going to buy, after I push the price down, 15 million XRP for my smaller wallet. And now my smaller wallet is now a big whale wallet too. You see what I'm saying? Games, people. It says more than 93% of XRP circulating supply has been in profit since mid-July. 93% of XRP holders are in profit. And that means they can't stand the fact that, why aren't you taking your profits? I'm going to tell you why. Because some people are smart enough to listen to guys like me and grunt a little bit and get a gorilla grip on their XRP because they want you to let it go. Despite the recent market decline, holders, still maintain an average profit margin above the 90% threshold. Notably, the average profit for the remittance-based token holders hasn't crossed below 80% since its strong uptrend last November following President Trump's election victory. Okay, now here's what that really means to me. Most of us have been around a while. 80% of us have been around a while, some way longer than November and President Trump's election victory. Some of us have been around a while and we're smart enough not to let it go because they're churning and burning trying to get it away from us. But just like they couldn't contain it for that bump, which is where they're throwing a bone at the weekends, keep your gorilla grip. There's another bone coming. It's a bigger bone. It's a ham bone, baby. It's not a steak bone. It's a ham bone, and it's coming. Then it talks about, technicals falling below the simple moving average, eyeing $2.78. And if you recall in one of my prior videos, it talked about the very heavy range in the $2.80 range. And I actually put a horizontal line at $2.81, right between 280 and 282, where they were calling. So it's no surprise. It's no surprise. And just like we've been holding on here, 80% of us keep holding on because it's just a game. Here's something else I find interesting, and I learned something on this one. XRP's price by 2050 as the XRPL burns 985,000 XRP a year. So I found that interesting because it gave a figure that XRP is burning about a million XRP a year, and that's a million XRP a year at the current volume. Now, of course, the volume is going to exponentially increase, therefore, the burning is going to exponentially increase. But a million XRP goes into a billion XRP 1,000 times. That's 1,000 years, people, if it keeps that rate. So they have some planned longevity for XRP because remember, the maximum supply was 100 billion. Now, of course, there's not 100 billion available anymore. Some have burned off. But that gives it a longer shelf life than what I anticipated. But here's what it doesn't do. It doesn't compensate for the amount of volume that's coming when all the money gets involved. And the burn rate increases exponentially along with the liquidity and the volume in the XRPL. Remember, they're getting ready to go to the real world assets. I did a video just recently on that. Of course, then there's the stablecoin angle where that takes some of the pressure off. But this just goes to show that the XRPL is built for longevity. So we don't have to worry about longevity. But what we do have to worry about is the churning and the burning of the price. And that's the reason I say pick a price that you like, pick a price that you want, pick a price that matters in your world, your life, your paradigm, and then go for it. Because depending on your patience, depending on your timeline, I'm not going to wait till 2050 for anything to happen. I don't even know if I'm going to be here in 2050. And if I am, I'm going to be too old to care about money. Okay? That's a fact, Jack. I'll be near my life expectancy. Let me put it to you that way. If we make it that far. And I say that because I expect something more major to happen to even care about money. But as I said, XRP burns nearly a million XRP tokens a year. So now we have a figure. The figure before I remember was over 12 years. It was like 100. It was like 14 million. Yeah, so that works out. The math works out. But notice what the prices say. In the first scenario, it is assumed that banks, remittance companies, and fintechs will adopt XRP over the next 25 years. There's a timeline. In this scenario, even without the burn, a compound annual growth rate of 6 to 8% could lift prices to between $18 and $25 by 2050. I'm going to pretty much wrap it up here because I don't really want to cover this article. Maybe I'll read it again, read it more thoroughly and cover it again. But I just wanted to bring out that we know that they're burning about a million XRP a year. I'll check it out and see if it's worth talking about in another video. But what I do want to bring out is what I've always said, and I'm going to say it to you again. You see what it says? To between 18 and 25 by 2050. Whenever they start giving prices, make your spider senses go off, okay? Because what that's telling you, if you believe them, and I don't, that you're going to have to wait 25 years to even see $18 on the price of XRP. That's what they're trying to convince you to believe. I don't believe that's true. But if they convince you to believe that's true, when you see $4 or $6, guess what you're going to do? You're going to get out of it. You're going to say, well, I'm not going to wait that long. Dollar cost average is 75 cents and I'm at $4. I'm taking it. And after enough people do that, with the whales playing games with their buying and selling, then they'll let it shoot off and take you out of the picture. That's why I say keep your gorilla grip. So when you see these prices, don't let them set your mental target. Set your mental target on based on what do you want out of life. Here's what I don't think. I don't think you're going to wait till 2050 for that to happen. But here's what I will say. If it happens in 2026 or 2027, take your money anyway. But keep a gorilla grip. Do not take a 100% approach with XRP because the time is going to come when they're going to price us out. In other words, they're going to price us out the same way they did the test pilot run with Bitcoin, and now it's about $120,000. How much is Bitcoin right now? Let's go find out. $114,000. Don't think for 1 minute that XRP can't reach that $114,000. And don't think by 2050, 2050, give me a break. It won't be till 2050. So if you're 35 years old, you better take a couple thousand XRP and put them away and act like you don't own them. You'll be very glad that you didn't go out and buy some pizza or McDonald's with your XRP, because XRP will be up here with this number right here. That's pretty much all I wanted to talk about. I hope I talked about it sensibly. I'm DK Will. This is DK Will Talk About It, and I've talked about it. Have a wonderful day.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right.